Okay, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room. So yeah, let's have a look at our email for today. There's a quote, a bit of teaching that always leads us into today's lesson, which is lesson 199, I believe. So we're almost on a double century. So I'll just share my screen with you. I want to have a look at this. All right, so if you can read the quote for us for today, headline quote. Can you read that, or do I need to make it a bit bigger?
No, it's fine.
Well,
I have a body, but I'm not a body. I can see and feel my body, and what can be seen and felt is not the true seer. My body may be tired or excited, sick or healthy, heavy or light, but that has nothing to do with my inward I. I have a body, but I am not my body. I have desires, but I am not my desires. I can know my desires, and what can be known is not the true knower. Desires come and go, floating through my awareness, but they do not affect my inward I. I have desires, but I am not desires. I have emotions, but I am not my emotions. I can feel and sense my emotions, and what can be felt and sensed is not the true feeler. Emotions pass through me, and they do not affect my inward I. I have emotions, but I am not emotions. I have thoughts, and I am not my thoughts. I can know and intuit my thoughts, and what can be known is not the true knower. Thoughts come to me, and thoughts leave me, but they do not affect my inward I. I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts.
yeah, so quite a long, that's probably one of the longest quotes we've ever had, but all very relevant, by a guy called Ken Wilber, who's probably the world's best known and most erudite living philosopher. He's written 20 odd books or more, and he came up with the integral model, which is really a model of everything, which is a theory of everything. So in the early 90s, he'd written a number of books already. He'd read deeply into many different spiritual traditions, religious traditions, philosophies, and so on. And he wanted to create a model that would explain it all, in which he could kind of frame it all. So it was a model that would explain, every teaching, every philosophy, every spiritual practice, a theory of everything, basically. And he came up with this model he called the integral model, integral theory, which we have looked at in some detail, not the full integral theory, but let's have a quick look at a basic snapshot of it. So this is the typical integral model or integral theory that's presented. You have the different quadrants, so individual and collective on the one axis, interior and exterior on the other. That makes up 4 quadrants, which gives you kind of domains of reality. And then within that, you've got this framework of lines, levels, states, and types. So he talks about a line of development. In other words, you might have an intellectual line, or you might have a physical line, or you might have a cultural line, you might have a artistic, creative. These are different kind of areas where some people are strong. You might be very artistically strong and very weak in terms of your intellectual development and ability to practically cope with life and so on. So the theory goes much deeper than just the quadrants. The quadrants are different domains of reality, and then within that there's levels. So if you're at say a body level, which is relevant to today's lesson because it's all about body identification, it's a pretty small, limited viewpoint, and then your worldview looks different. So your subjective sense of a self, the I, is different compared with, let's say, if you identify yourself primarily with the mind, or you start moving beyond the mind into the spirit. At each level you expand. So these are like concentric rings, like contour lines in a map. So at a certain level, that contour line is on the same level, and if you follow the contour line, you'll get the same kind of energetic results. That's the idea. So if you're rooted at a body level, then you tend to have certain things showing up in the body reality to confirm that. Maybe you very attached to the body, so it might be looking at the body's gratification, pleasure. It might be looking good, making sure the body is dressed well, and trying to keep it young and fit and healthy and sexy and so on. And that then corresponds. That's an external reality. It corresponds to the internal state of being identified with yourself as a body, thinking you're a body primarily. See? So the integral model, and then that has impact in the intersubjective as well, and the interobjective. So you then contribute to the whole. If everyone is body identified and we live in a society that's body identified, then we get a certain set of systems, processes, networks, technology that develops to match that level of consciousness. And that's what we can then observe in the external world, that's happened. So our modern society is quite body obsessed. It's for a fairly low level, not primarily about the spirit. Certainly it's body and mind. So then we get in the external, we get the projections of this body mind identification, which then start being systematized into the objective and the interobjective. So this is my own individual behavior, but my interobjective would be interacting with others, and so there would be a collective pattern of behavior. But it all links in. Nothing is isolated unto itself. It's all linked in to everything else. But it starts really with the subjective I, and that's where it goes back to as well. The Alpha and the Omega, it says in the Bible. It starts with who I am, and then how I perceive, and that gets projected out, and then that feeds itself back into the subjective I, and you get a feedback loop. So you get projection and then perception, and then that seems to confirm that this feedback is true. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little summary overview of Ken Wilber's theory, and this is the essence of what has come to be known as the Perennial Philosophy as well, because it's a timeless universal truth that all the great spiritual teachers and teachings have taught throughout the ages. So what does this philosophy say? You might ask. What is have you heard of the Perennial Philosophy before? I have mentioned it, but it's
mm-hmm.
if you look at a sort of a worldview that looks for commonality and unity, and looks to the different religious traditions and spiritual paths for you, some kind of common theme, then that would be the Perennial Philosophy, saying, well, what's common amongst them? Well, there's this Perennial Philosophy that says, and I thought this quote, which I paraphrased from Eckhart Tolle, was a nice way of summarizing it. So if you can just read that one, the Perennial Philosophy.
You are not your thoughts, emotions, perceptions, and experiences. You are not the content of your life. You are the pure formless awareness that underlies the body and all your sense perceptions, as well as all the thoughts and emotions they seem to cause. You are the essence of life itself, the essence of the eternal now moment, and ultimately, you simply are what cannot be named or described.
So a good, very good. I just paraphrased it from a quote from Eckhart Tolle, which really summarizes quite well what this perennial philosophy is all about. It's teaching that your true identity and reality is formless, it's timeless, it's spirit or awareness, and that's been called many different things by different teachers and religions. God, Yahweh, Jehovah, that's all Old Testament stuff. Allah, that's Islamic. Brahman is the Hindu word. The Tao is Chinese, and then love, obviously, is another one. And more recently, modern philosophers like Ken Wilber, the ground of being, which I quite like. So it's this ground of being, without which nothing would have being, nothing would have existence. So it's the foundation of all being, which underlies all form. And what Yeshua is telling us is that actually only that being, the ground of being, is real. All form is just a delusion. It's a covering over. And then, so Lao Tzu, the Chinese sage, whose philosophy is the basis of Taoism, he lived in the 6th century BC. He said of me, Tao Te Ching, which we think he wrote. One of the spiritual, great spiritual classics of all time. It's a very short little book, really poetic. So I encourage you to read it if you haven't. And you'll see the similarities with Course in Miracles principles and other spiritual principles in there. All right, so if you can read that quote from the Tao Te Ching.
The Tao that can be described is not the eternal Tao.
You actually said Tao. I pronounce it as Tao. Yeah.
Tao. Oh.
Yeah, and I know they have actually changed some of the text. They changed the T to a D because it's just it's obviously translated from Chinese, so the characters are Chinese, so they just try and translate that into an English character. But it's said as the Tao, as in like the Dow Jones, Tao.
Yeah. The Tao that can.
Yeah.
The Tao that can be described is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be spoken is not the eternal name.
So what's he saying there? This Tao with the small t would be the ego mind in our language, that has form. It can be described. It seems to have some kind of form and a description to it. And he's saying that's not the eternal Tao, because the eternal Tao is formless. We call it pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's the eternal Tao. And the name that can be spoken is not the eternal name. So any name that you speak, whatever you call God, there's many names that have happened in history. It's not the eternal name, because the eternal name is silence. There is no name. God doesn't have a name. And that's all part of our illusory construct to try and name and label this presence that has been called God. But in the end, it's just a pure experience. Okay, so if you fancy reading the Tao Te Ching, you can get it there. Just click on the link, and it'll open up. Oh, it opened. I don't know what, because I fixed it. I'm just using an old version. I changed it in the one I sent out. So above quotes from 3 different spiritual teachers who lived in very different times, about 2,500 years apart. should give you a flavor of the perennial philosophy. So it's got the Tao Te Ching, 2,600 years ago, and then you've got Eckhart Tolle, currently alive, as well as Ken Wilber, and nothing much hasn't really changed. Truth is true. That's why it's called the perennial philosophy, because it's always true.
Mm.
And the perennial philosophy is very much in alignment with the teachings of Course in Miracles. So as he says in the clarification of terms, if you want to just read that short quote.
A universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible, but necessary. A Course in Miracles.
It's quite a profound quote, a very simple idea. But theology is in the mind. Theology is ideas, beliefs, dogma, and that's usually what most formal religions focus on. They have a theology, and the Christian theology is different from the Islamic one and from the Jewish one. Although they have the single idea of a single God, there's variations, and so they disagree. And the one says, no, we have it right, and you guys have it wrong. So we are the chosen ones. We have the truth, and you don't. Okay, so you can read this article. It's a great article on perennial wisdom of A Course in Miracles. By a scholar called Roger Walsh, who's a Course in Miracles student and very well read and learned in various spiritual traditions. And the key point really is he talks about higher grades of significance.
Mm-hmm.
So you find what philosophers call higher grades of significance. That's one of the hallmarks of a profound teaching. And so whenever you can study something and then it gets deeper, and you study it and something else reveals itself, maybe it's the same material, but you do it again and maybe again, and more reveals itself, then it would be called higher grades of significance. And this seems to happen each time I go through the course. So as I say, he's a course student. So that's definitely worth reading. High grades of significance, and then he talks about how it relates to the various paths, course, and the 4 yogas. So he takes yoga, and there's 4 types of yoga. The path of the intellect, the path of the heart, the path of service, and the path of meditation. So these are ways in the yogic tradition of attaining union with God, and each one has their followers and their devotees, and they all work. He's not saying they all work. So the course actually has all of them. It has all 4 of these paths kind of built into it, interwoven into it to really, it's a comprehensive teaching. I don't know anything that's more comprehensive. That's includes all of these different paths. It's the highest teaching. It's a non-dual. It's also got some in-depth psychological concepts. So I encourage you to read that. I think we've got time now, but a great article that talks about the similarities between the yogic paths and these 4 different kind of ways, really, of focuses. I think each one is a focal point. You say, well, if I'm on the path of the intellect, then that's all about inquiry. Well, we know there's a lot of intellect in the course. Helen Schuckman said, "Oh, thank God, finally a course, Spiritual Path of Intellectuals. That was a take on A Course in Miracles. So it was written for these two intellectuals. So there is that. There's quite a lot of intellectual reasoning and so on, but with the intention of ultimately letting it all go. So the path of the intellect, and then he talks about the path of the heart, which is about love and devotion. So you love and you devote yourself to others, and you can also do it with some kind of worthy purpose. Also known as the path of devotion. Then the path of service, maybe that's the path of devotion. So that's actually doing stuff in the world, doing good work, serving others, helping others as an expression of love. The key thing is not to make the service into a false idol. It's just a means to connect you back with your source. And then you've got the path of meditation, which is path of withdrawing and just sitting and blissing out of being. And all four are valid paths. That's what he's saying. So the course has all four of them embedded into it. And if you practice it, as he suggests, you're actually doing all four of these. So it's a very, very comprehensive path. And it has deeper levels of significance because you can go more deeply into each of these parts through the course, so you understand them on a deeper level. Okay, so any questions on that?
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So I encourage you to read the article. It's a really good article and makes a lot of sense. It's just another part of the undoing of the ego, highlighting the two thought systems and showing you that the course is really exceptional. It's a profound, deep teaching with deeper levels of significance, and we've got the opportunity to study it and learn it in this amazing way through the Art of Letting Go course or program, and being able to tap in and to this technology and look at it online, edit it online, and so while we look at it, all freely available. So that brings us to the session. Any comments or questions on any of that?
No, that's fine. That's good.
Well, okay, so let's jump into our lesson, and that should prepare us nicely for today's lesson, which is all about not being a body. So you just read the lesson. Where are we? 199. 197, 98, 199. There we go. Okay. So lesson 199. I'm not a body, I'm free.
I am not a body, I am free.
Well, very simple message, but very powerful. I'm not a body, I am free, no matter what. So let's see what he has to say about it. Paragraph 1. You can read that in the alternative, not much to translate here.
Freedom must be impossible as long as I perceive a body as myself. The body is a limit. Who seeks for freedom in a body looks for it where it cannot be found. The mind can be made free when it no longer perceives itself as in a body, firmly tied to it and sheltered by its presence. If this were the truth, the mind would be vulnerable indeed.
So what's he saying there in summary?
Well, we know that the body is not who we really are. It's just a neutral vehicle. to bring us to our true awareness. And if we don't believe this, then we're going to be in a rather vulnerable state indeed. If we believe we are a body, it's a very vulnerable position to be in, very temperamental.
Seeks for freedom in a body. Looks for it where it cannot be found. So we'll never find it there, because the body is the projection of the ego mind, which is limited and bound. And so it's produced a reality of bondage. We seem to be tied to the body. The body seems to suffer. The body seems to age. The body seems to die. We all know how that goes, because we've all, experienced it during our lifetimes. And yes, you're saying this is not your identity. You're eternal. You're changeless. This changeable entity that is doomed to die. The body, is going to die inevitably. So that's not a question, is it? It's going to die. So how can that be eternal then? How can that be a worthy home if you are an eternal being? And there's no other answer to that question than, well, there can't be. The body simply can't be real. So whatever I'm experiencing in the body and through the body is a delusion. So this were the truth, the mind would be vulnerable indeed. If we were really tied to the body, where would our safety be? How can we ever find safety and security and peace of mind? Because the body is so limited, it's weak, it's vulnerable, it can be threatened, it can be hurt, it gets sick, it ages, it dies. There's no security there at all.
No.
But fortunately, it's not the truth, which is what he's telling us.
Yeah.
Number 2, let's see what's to translate there. I think read this in the original and the alternative, just sentence by sentence.
The mind that serves the Holy Spirit is unlimited forever, in all ways, beyond the laws of time and space, unbound by any preconceptions, and with strength and power to do whatever it is asked. Mind that serves the remembrance of perfect love, or you'll need to bring the paragraph up here. The mind that serves the remembrance of perfect love is unlimited forever, in all ways, beyond the law of time and space, unbound by any preconceptions, and with strength and power to do whatever it is asked. And I'll read the other one also. Attack thoughts cannot enter such a mind, because it has been given to the source of love, and fear can never enter in a mind that has attached itself to love. And attack thoughts cannot enter such a mind, because it has been given to the source of love, and fear can never enter in a mind that has attached itself to love. And it rests in God. It rests in pure formless awareness of perfect love. And who can be afraid who lives in innocence and only loves? I assume the same there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll read it again. It's a lovely line there.
It rests in pure formless awareness of perfect love. And who can be afraid who lives in innocence and only loves?
Yeah, can you really be afraid if you're innocent, if you only love? Saying not really. None of the illusions of the world can bother you. It's only if you deny your innocence and you deny love that you run into trouble. And so our job is, if something other than the innocence, sin and guilt and fear and attack and so on arise, then we must deny that. We have to deny all of that and go back to our original innocent state. And then how can we be afraid? If it's pure formless awareness, we are rooted in this blue circle. None of the other stuff matters. It doesn't exist in that state. So if I'm completely innocent, I'm just in this awareness. In that awareness, there's nothing else. There's only that awareness. So I'm whole, I'm complete, I'm peaceful, completely peaceful, calm, because I'm at one. Okay. So any thoughts on number 2? You want to give that a little summary yourself and move on?
Yeah. Well, when we're in that oneness and in the source of love, fear can never enter in, and a very peaceful, loving, innocent mind to be in. And who can be afraid when we're in that innocence and it only loves and rests in God? Very nice paragraph.
Yeah. So innocence is the same as pure formless awareness. Innocence is just a state of open awareness, and there's nothing to block that. There's nothing to cover that over. So the past is over. In innocence, you're just purely aware right now of this awareness. So you're aware of what you are, aware of your awareness. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to read number 3? Moving on.
Mm-hmm. It is essential for my progress in this course that I accept today's idea and hold it very dear. Be not concerned that to the belief of separation it is quite insane. The belief in separation holds the body dear because it dwells in it and lives united with the home that it has made. It is a part of the illusion that has sheltered it from being found illusory itself.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
Well, it's insane to house ourselves in this or dwell in this body when it's an illusion. So really quite insane.
So it holds it dear, means it values the body dearly.
Mm-hmm. So for progression on the journey of the course, we need to accept this idea as soon in this holy instant moment. Just accept.
So part of the illusion that is sheltered from being found illusory itself. So this body identification, I mean, think of the average person. Most people are pretty body identified, and they think they're a body. It's about the pleasure, seeking pleasure and avoiding pain. Really, it can be summed up. But that's the body's pleasure and the body's pain. And so most people dedicate their minds, their lives to that pursuit. So they're valuing the body and they're giving themselves this false identity as the body, which makes the belief in separation seemingly very real, doesn't it? Because you've got a body you identify with. Well, it's I'm a separate person.
My body,
my body, and therefore because I'm a separate, our ego's best argument for separation is the body. Well, look, obviously, My senses tell me that I'm separate. I'm living in this, in this body, and it's my body, and then there's other bodies, and those bodies are not my bodies; those are their bodies. And so I'm separate from those bodies, and can potentially be harmed by those bodies, or I can harm them. And there's all these, relationship dynamics that go on between these seemingly separate bodies that preoccupy my mind. This is what, the ego keeps us busy with. Got to think about something in the dream. So it keeps us thinking about these kinds of thoughts. When you're saying, none of those thoughts are really real. When we let go and we just give it over to the source of love, none of it's true. All of these ideas are false. And so the body is just a false identification. And ultimately, that's what he's saying. We've believed in separation, and then the body gives form to the idea of separation. So you see why a body was invented, because the ego needed a body to perpetuate its illusion of separation. Okay. So that is number 3. Number 4.
Here does it hide, and here it can be seen as what it is. Declare my innocence, and I am free. The body disappears because I have no need of it except the remembrance of perfect love perceives.
And just pause it there. Then I'm just going to catch up. Yeah. Here it hides. I can be seen as what it is, and I can perceive it. Seer is what it is, and here, Seer is what it is. It's saying just look, look at this identification, look at this conception of yourself, which is hidden in a body, and perceive it for what it is. It's a prison. Right? So where it disappears because I have no need of it except the need of remembrance of perfect love perceives. That's okay. And I declare my innocence, and then I am free. Okay, where were you? At number 2 or 3?
3. The body disappears because I have no need of it. Oh, well, I've read it already, but I have no need of it except the remembrance of perfect love perceives. For this, the body will appear as useful form for what the mind must do. It thus becomes a vehicle which helps letting go be extended to the all-inclusive goal that it must reach, according to perfect love's plan.
It's a vehicle which helps letting go be extended to the all-inclusive goal that it must reach, according to perfect love's plan. Helps letting go be extended, helps will do, I guess. So what's he saying here, number 4?
It's just about the body again, isn't it? And the body will disappear once we know there's no need of except the need of perfect love. So it's only there just as a vehicle to awaken us into this state of perfect love. And it will appear useful for that reason only, for to be, to get us to this state of pure formless awareness. So it's a vehicle to help us letting go.
It's a good analogy. It's like a vehicle in this world, if you're trying to get one. It's not you, it's not your identity. It's just it's a vehicle that gets you around. It's in fact, you can't really do without the body vehicle if you're going to be in this world, because you wouldn't be in this world without the vehicle. So the vehicle gets you around from A to B. It helps you have experiences which are part of your curriculum. This is what you came to learn. You have these experiences in and through the body senses, which then can be interpreted in two ways. And you can either interpret them from the ego, say, well, I'm a separate self, and these are experiences that are happening to me as a separate self. It feels threatening and challenging and difficult, and there is no peace of mind in that. Or you let go of any body identifications. Well, even if it seems seemingly threatening, there is no body really. I'm not a body. So I can't die, I can't suffer. None of the body identification becomes important anymore. Okay, so any other thoughts on number 4?
No, all good.
Body's just a vehicle, so let's see what else he has to say.
Cherish today's idea and practice it today and every day. Make it part of make it a part of every practice period I take. There is no thought that will not increase through this practice in its power to help the world. So any thought, when enhanced by this idea, will bring me more benefits. We sound the call of freedom round the world with this idea. And do I really want to exempt myself from the acceptance of the benefits I give through it?
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
Well, it's important that we practice this every day, forever. And see our companions as not a body. And so therefore, why would we not be accepting of being not a body and accepting the benefits of letting that go and accept our true self?
Yeah, so you're asking us to practice, and really this is one of, every now and then he says, this is a key lesson. So this body idea, I'm not a body, I'm free, is a key lesson. Make it a part of every practice, he's saying. Practice it today and every day. So you could include it in your practice of another lesson. You can remind yourself, well, I'm not a body, which we're going to do. We're going to review. So he's going to get us to. This becomes the key idea. I'm not a body, I'm free, which is then going to be threaded through the 20 ideas we've had in the last 20 days. He's done it in past reviews. So you have a key idea, and then you have the actual two ideas in a row of the past lessons. And so that seems to work quite well, because he picks a theme, he picks a central idea, like this one, I'm not a body, I'm free. that works. So there's lots of benefits. I sound the call of freedom, and I just need to practice. Practice makes perfect. And as I practice, I extend this love outwards. Okay, so any other thoughts on that one?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, number 6. So Holy Spirit will become the remembrance of perfect love in this one. The only major translation.
The remembrance of perfect love, or Holy Spirit, is the home of minds that seek for freedom. And if, in it they have found what they have sought. Their body's purpose now is unambiguous, and it becomes perfect in the ability to serve an undivided goal. In conflict-free and unequivocal response to mind, with only the thought of freedom as its goal, the body serves and serves its purpose well, without the power to enslave. It is a worthy servant of the freedom which the mind that remembers perfect love seeks.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
That's just again being in the remembrance of perfect love. If we're in that state, that's our home, and that's where we find freedom. So the body then becomes no longer a mystery or unambiguous, and it just becomes perfect in its ability to serve this goal. Conflict-free, yeah.
Although it was made by the ego, the purpose can change, and what his purpose is can now be unambiguous. We can say the body, my only purpose for the body is to serve my mind's awakening. Right? So this is a vehicle to facilitate and serve my awakening, and help me to learn my lessons, and help me to communicate. The body's big function in this world, right-minded function, is communication. So rather than a separation device, you see it as a communication device. Well, I can communicate with my words, my speech. We now have all these devices allow us to type, can communicate, using, it requires the body to then act out on the mind's commands, to communicate and really extend this loving awareness. Okay, so any other thoughts on number 6?
It's clear. Yeah, all good.
Yeah. So it's just the body reinterpreted. A lot of people can misunderstand the course and say, so what's he saying? I should just get out of a body as quickly as possible. He's saying ultimately you want to leave the body, but it's okay. You can live here, you can live in it for a while. Just don't get identified with it. Don't think that it's you. Use the time that you have in the body to correct and heal your mind of the belief that you are a body. That's the whole purpose of time. Okay, so number 7, we're on to be free today.
Be free today and carry freedom as my gift to those who still believe they are enslaved within a body. be free, so that the remembrance of perfect love can make use of my escape from bondage to set free the many who perceive themselves as bound and helpless and afraid. Let love replace their fears through me. Accept awakening now and give my mind to the presence of perfect love that calls to me to make this gift to it. For it would give me perfect freedom, perfect joy, and hope that finds its full accomplishment in pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Just let love replace their fears through me. I accept awakening now and give my mind the presence of perfect love. Calls to me to make this gift to it. Okay, any thoughts on that?
Yes.
What's he saying?
Again, just, to give up the idea of we're a body, because if you do, you've got the freedom. But if we still remain in the body, then there will never be peace. There'll always be fluctuations. So you've got a choice.
Well, we must identify with the presence, the pure formless awareness of perfect love beyond the body. Otherwise, we identify with the body. Those are the choices. There's only two.
Yeah.
It's the body or it's pure formless awareness. And there's really nothing in between, because it's either pure formless awareness, there's no form, and just infinite, eternal, expansive, or you've covered that over and now you believe in a body identity of sorts. So even if you're not attached to your material body, you still perceive forms in this world, and you make them real. So you're still caught up in a world of form. Okay. Pointing us to freedom, perfect joy, pure formless awareness of perfect love, accept my awakening, saying, all of this comes when you consciously choose to let go of your body identification. And that, people say, well, how do I do that? Well, you let go thought by thought, emotion by emotion. That's how you do it. So instead of, let's say, you had a headache yesterday, instead of getting freaked out about that and, rushing off to the doctor or taking a magic pill and being very concerned about the body's welfare, you just go, well, this too will pass. It's just the body. It's not really important. It hasn't actually really affected my true mind and my true nature, which I can go into. Even while that's going on some level, is the pain somewhere. It tends to dissipate quite a lot if you just apply this.
It certainly helps, yeah.
Oh. And so keep doing it. Just keep practicing if it's working. Okay, so just read that from the top. I want to make sure we're good with the translation.
I am free today, and I carry freedom as my gift to those who still believe they are enslaved within a body. I am free, so that remembrance of perfect love can make use of my escape from bondage, to set the many who perceive themselves as bound, helpless, and afraid, free. I let love replace their fears through me. I accept awakening now and give my mind to the presence of perfect love that calls to me to make this gift to it, for it will give me perfect freedom, perfect joy, and hope that finds its full accomplishment in pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Nice. That's a nice paragraph. Perfect freedom, perfect joy, and hope finds its full accomplishment in pure formless awareness of perfect love. So we get a taste of freedom, of joy, and this is how we start waking up to this pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is our true nature. Okay, so happy with number 7. Let's move on to number 8. Your God's Son. I think read this, but to translate, to read it in the original, and then in the alternative, sentence by sentence.
You are God's Son. Sentence by sentence, yeah. I am perfect love's extension. In immortality, you live forever. And the same. In mortality, I live forever.
In immortality, yeah.
In immortality, I live
Mortality,
forever.
yeah.
Mortality.
Yeah.
Let me see the way I'm saying.
I live forever in immortality. So we are not bodies, which are mortal. Immortality is I'm immortal. Mortal is of the body. Mort actually means death in Latin. So immortal means I can't die. And immortal, self means it's not subject to death. So I, live forever in this immortal state. Which is very encouraging news. So none of the, temporary things that the body has to go through and the aging process, and none of that matters. I live forever in immortality, no matter what condition my body seems to be in. Okay. Would I not return my mind to this?
Sorry, what number is that?
Number 3, I think we are. Live forever in immortality.
Oh, yes. Would I not return my mind to this? Then practice well the thought, the remembrance of perfect love gives for me today. My companions stand released with me in it. The world is blessed along with me. My true self will weep no more, and the state of pure formless awareness offers thanks for the increase of joy my practice brings even to it. And pure formless awareness of perfect love itself extends its love and happiness each time I say, I am not a body, I am free. I hear the voice that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me, and it is only this my mind obeys.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Just to be aware of the fact that we are immortal beneath this illusory body. And the world will be blessed once we recognize this. We don't need to weep anymore once we're in this state of pure formless awareness. And it offers thanks to the increase of joy my practice brings to me and everybody else. So each time we say or affirm, I'm not a body, I'm free, then it'll wake this little voice, the voice behind the separate self, wake it up.
The formless awareness of perfect love itself extends its love and happiness each time I say, I am not a body, I am free. So just, I think, read that that whole from the top again, because I've done a bit of translation. Just make sure we're
Yeah.
good with that.
I am perfect love's extension. I live forever in immortality. Do I not want to return my mind to this? Then I practice the thought. The remembrance of perfect love gives me for today well. My companions stand released with me to it. The world is blessed along with me. Perfect love's extension will not be sad anymore. And the state of pure formless awareness offers thanks for the increase of joy my practice brings even to it. And pure formless awareness of perfect love itself extends its love and happiness. Each time I say, I am not a body, I am free, I hear the voice that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me, and it is only this my mind obeys.
Mm. Yeah, nice. So any thoughts on that final paragraph?
Well, once we obey the law of pure formless, well, it's not a law, isn't it? Just the pure formless awareness of perfect love. Once we accept that and choose that, then what follows is happiness and joy and no longer sad. And yeah,
Mm.
we just keep returning the mind, every moment to this until it becomes the default.
Yeah, and it's a very joyful saying when you let go of body identification, you say these simple words. I'm not a body, I am free. You open the way for your mind to experience the release that comes when you don't identify with the body. That's such simple words. Sometimes it's extraordinary. You think, these are just words.
Mm.
But they're very powerful because they point you to an inner state. They change your state. And so he's using words very skillfully here to facilitate a state change in which we do feel this freedom. We feel, the liberation of not being a body, which is a glimpse of this, other reality that we once had. We were all incorporeal at some point before the time was made. So we remember that state. There's a part of our mind that remembers this state of just being pure, formless awareness. And then the final, injunction, just read that again. I'm not a body, I'm free.
I'm not a body, I am free. I hear the voice that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me, and it is only this my mind obeys.
Yeah, so a categoric choice again. There's only this. He's asking us to choose this and, this alone. Rather than fudge it and say, well, I kind of, this goes against, many teachings that talk about the body's reality. There's that very, very common sort of New Age belief is body, mind, and soul or spirit. So we are all three. It says, well, we're bodies, and that has its place, and then there's a mind, and then there's the soul or the spirit, and there's this kind of idea of levels, and but the body is given a reality equal with the others, and that is just to compromise and to split your mind. Because what Yeshua is teaching us is that you can't be both. You can't be a body and a mind because they contradict each other. the body denies the reality of the mind and tells you that you're just the body and the physical. And the mind realizes is not the body. The awakened mind realizes it doesn't need a body. The body is a delusion. Okay, so any other thoughts on this? Otherwise, let's have a look at the summary today. It's not an executive summary, just 3 paragraphs. I think to read it, read each paragraph, and then just pause, reflect on it as a way of summarizing this all in your own mind. And then there's a key message, which is the overall summary. There's 4 paragraphs, and then we'll do a meditation if you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freedom is impossible if I perceive my body as myself, because the body is a limit. Seeking freedom in a body is futile. The mind becomes free when it no longer perceives itself as in a body. The mind that serves the remembrance of perfect love is unlimited, beyond time and space, and attached to love, meaning fear cannot enter. It is essential for my progress to accept this idea, despite its seeming insane to the belief in separation. This belief holds the body dear as part of its illusion. To declare my...
Just pause. So what's he saying there?
Freedom not going to be possible while we see ourselves as a body. So through, choosing, the remembrance of perfect love then becomes unlimited, and automatically you will feel joy and happiness once you understand that it's all, the body is just an illusion.
Just an illusion, not your reality. And that is not the easiest idea to wrap your head around, is it? It takes some time to.
It does.
Well, I think to be in a body, I still have it. It doesn't just disappear. It seems to be quite, present in your daily experience. And for most people, the only time it drops away is when they sleep. Meditation's another time, when they just go out of body awareness. And interestingly, we have to do that for 6 to 8 hours a day to feel refreshed. Otherwise, we just can't cope. So what's really happening? Sleep is us going back into our mind, our true mind. We're going home when we go to sleep, into the state of pure formless awareness. But the ego has been very cunning because it's made us unconscious of that. So okay, well, you have to go to sleep and you have to have this deep rest that the mind experiences when it goes back to its source. But if you're asleep, you're not conscious of it, then you're not going to know it, are you? So you wake up feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep. Right, off we go back into the illusion, and most people have no idea what's just happened. They just went back to source. That's what happened, and they got re-energized. It's not really, sleep is not primarily about resting the body. It's resting the mind. That it's about. So it refreshes the mind, and then the body feels accordingly refreshed because the body gets its instructions from the mind. So this is part of what we've got to realize. It's all about our mental state. It's not the body. Some people will say, oh, my body's tired, or my body's cold, or my body's craving this. If you heard that, my body's craving this, my body needs this. And all of that, if you catch yourself saying that, correct yourself, because it's not the body. The body has no intention of its own. The body is just a vehicle. It needs a driver, and that driver will be your mind, either the Holy Spirit remembrance of perfect love saying, I'm not a body, just let this go, and bring, in the transcendent love and peace and joy beyond the body. Or it's the ego, which comes in and says, no, you're a special separate self, which is doomed to suffer and die, and then the body it becomes a very fearful thing. And so you will, because that's what you believe. Belief, as he says, this belief holds the body dear as part of its illusion. And so he's saying, we must accept this key idea. It's one of the central ideas of the course. I'm not a body. I'm free. If I try and fudge it and I say, well, I'm a body and a mind or spirit, then really what we're saying is I'm a body, because we've just compromised, and so we now have a split mind of two different realities that are inconsistent and contradict each other. I cannot be a body and pure formless awareness and perfect love, because pure formless awareness and perfect love is formless, so it doesn't have a form, so there's no body. So the two states are opposite by definition. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so read the second paragraph. To declare my innocence.
To declare my innocence is to be free, transforming the body into a useful vehicle in and through which I learn to let go according to perfect love's plan. I must cherish and practice today's idea daily to enhance its power to help the world and myself. The remembrance of perfect love is the home of minds seeking freedom, transforming the body into a servant of freedom. I must be free today and carry that freedom to others enslaved by the belief in separation. Accepting my awakening allows the remembrance of perfect love to use my escape from bondage to free others. It gives me perfect freedom, joy, and hope, all accomplished in and through pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Yeah, let's just check this. Home of mind seeking freedom and transforming the body. Home of mind and transforms the body into a servant of freedom. Okay, so that's all right. I must be free today and carry that freedom to others enslaved by the belief in separation. I'm not sure I want to do that. I must be free today and carry that freedom to others enslaved by their belief in separation. Accepting my awakening allows the remembrance of perfect love to use my escape from bondage to free others. Gives me perfect freedom, joy, and hope, all accomplished in and through pure forms of perfect love. Okay, so what's he saying? What's he saying here in summary?
Well, once we recognize and accept our innocence, then and transforming the body into a vehicle, a useful vehicle. And then I'll need to let go according to the perfect love's plan rather than the separate self. And we need to really cherish and practice this and sincerely mean it for it to affect, to benefit and to help the world and myself, not forgetting ourselves. So it is. It's
our body becomes a servant of freedom. The body can be a useful servant in the awakening if it's reinterpreted and we give it that purpose. Although it was made by the ego to be the vehicle of specialness and the separate self and suffering and pain and death, that's what the ego invented it for. We can change our minds about it. We can reinterpret it and make it now the servant of freedom, the servant of the Holy Spirit. And so it's helpful. This gives us the experiences we need in order to awaken. So it becomes a learning device. It's part of the curriculum in this world, which you need. You need the vehicle to experience this world and get the lessons and learn the lessons. So then, from that point of view, the body serves as a mighty function, and it's part of your awakening, and it's not something you would ever try and disrespect or hurt. Some people are like, well, if the body's not real, then why don't I just do whatever? I'll eat whatever, drink whatever, smoke whatever, snort whatever drug, because it doesn't matter. It's just, but you're disrespecting this vehicle. That you're not treating it with due respect. How can a vehicle? I mean, we know if you have a vehicle and you don't treat it well, let's say you put all the rubbish in the petrol tank, it's not going to go, is it?
No.
And you don't service it, so it's not you, but it's a temporary vehicle. So and it's part of the awakening experience. So treat it well, treat it with care and kindness and respect, without overdoing that and making it overly real in your mind. That's the lesson, isn't it? So I can be in the body, I can look after it and do what's necessary to take care of it, and without identifying overly with it. I don't see it as myself. It's just a vehicle. So I would take care of it like I take care of a vehicle, but not, I mean, you've seen the attachment that breeds, because Dave, you said, was very attached to his Jaguar, was it? So it's not that specialness. Oh, it's my special car, and I'm special because I have my special car. It's more just, okay, this is a functional vehicle. It's worth maintaining it. It's worth keeping it in good shape, and treating it with respect, so that it serves me well on my journey, and it doesn't sabotage my journey. It doesn't cause me pain and suffering unnecessarily, which it will tend to do if you don't treat it right. And then that, not treating it right is usually a sign of the ego. It's a self-hatred. I'm attacking myself, and so then I do things that are not healthy for the body or the mind, and then I suffer the consequences. So that's the self-punishment. So we can be, we can look after it, we can take care of it without overdoing it, and it can serve us well while we're here, and be a vehicle for our awakening. And the Holy Spirit will guide us as to how to do that. So we don't have to worry too much about it. If we open to this and we do the lessons, I'm not a body, I'm free, you're correcting your mind just there, and then the correct perception comes. Okay, I'm not a body, I'm free, but I still have a body. So yeah, the body maybe needs a wash, the body needs a bit of care, needs some food. Okay, that's fine, without identifying myself as the vehicle. So it's a bit like the car is a useful analogy, because you don't think that you're a car when you go and fill up with fuel, do you?
No.
You just give the car what it needs, or give it a service. No, you don't. Most people, maybe some do, but you don't think that it's you. You're just like, well, I'm doing what's necessary to make the car go and serve me well. So it's that kind of functional, practical attitude. But too often with the body, because it's so personal, we invest in it, and then there's all the specialness that goes into it. And so people, they take care of the body, but it's special care, and it's the specialness, and it's now I'm I remember watching a program once with this couple who were obsessed, body obsessed with the physical image. It was like, well, how lean are we, how fit are we, really obsessed with their appearance and their weight. And I remember the lady went and had a meal with them. Said it was joyless. There was no joy there. They were just like measuring everything, and because they were it was all about the body identification. How did they look? How were they perceived? both into the fitness industry, so they have to be seen to have the perfect body, and that then everything is designed around that. Now that's misusing the body. That's specialness. See, that's body identification. Whereas you could say, okay, yes, I'm eating well, I'm eating healthily, I'm doing my healthy meals, but I'm not really that attached to the body. It's more about just taking care of it and feeling good, having good energy. It's not about how I look. It's just about it's a functional vehicle. And I'll probably look, if I do that, I'll probably look quite good, because that's just a natural byproduct of treating the body well. But it's not really about, I'm not doing it to look good. See, so that's the difference. It can be subtle, but it's a profound difference, because the one is saying I'm a body. That couple were saying every day to themselves, I'm a body. I'm a body, I'm a body, I'm a body. And in everything they're doing, they're saying they're a body, and they're valuing the body. And of course, they're going to suffer, because as they get older, that's going to let them down, isn't it? And it's like, well, struggling to maintain the youth and the condition of the body. And if I'm identified with it, then I feel like I'm losing. I'm losing a part of myself, which is inevitable, if you identify with the body. So it's a very short-sighted view to identify with the body, because it is going to get older, and it is going to lose its conditioning and its looks, and no matter how much you take care of it, eventually it's going to die. That's just how it is. So don't identify with it. But it's a profound lesson, and we've got to be vigilant, because there are these areas of body identification that might come in, and you're unaware of them. So he's saying, well, just be aware of when you are identifying with the body. Okay, so I am perfect love's extension and live forever in immortality. Read that one.
I am perfect love's extension and live forever in immortality. Thinking this thought repeatedly releases my companions and blesses the world, ending suffering and increasing the joy in the world. Pure formless awareness of perfect love extends its love and happiness each time I affirm that I am not a body, I am free, and my mind obeys only the voice of perfect love.
Yeah, so every time I tell myself this, I'm telling myself I am perfect love. I feel that freedom in me. I feel the extension of the freedom. And it all comes just by saying, I'm not a body, I'm free. Wow. That's how powerful these lessons are. I've just got to remember to do it, because every time I do it, I go into that expansive state, and I allow the happiness to come in, and love and the happiness to come in and flow through me. My mind obeys only the voice of perfect love. So by saying I'm not a body, I'm free, I'm placing my mind under the control of the Holy Spirit, the voice of perfect love. Okay, and then the key message, which just summarizes it in a couple of sentences.
The key message of this lesson is that I must recognize that I am not a body, but pure formless awareness of perfect love's extension, and practice this thought daily to free my mind from fear and bondage. By accepting this awakening, I not only free myself, but also extend freedom to others, so transforming the world.
Yeah, so I become the world's awakener, just by a change in mind, just a change of attitude, that I can show others. So, I'm not a body. And this is part of the perennial philosophy. Why I led in with that, because perennial philosophy says to us, you're not a body. You're something more than a body. There's something transcendent beyond the body, another world, another dimension, another reality, whatever you want to call it, that is there beyond the body identification, and you can experience that beyond the veil. So if you let's say you have a near-death experience, you go out of this world temporarily, where you go is into that dimension, into that domain beyond the body and beyond the ego. And almost universally, everyone who's done that says that's amazing. It's just so lovely. It's so peaceful. There's really nothing to be scared of. It's, in fact, this world is, very dark by comparison. They just wanted to stay there in the light. So what's there to be scared of? Just go into the light, awaken to that, and you let go of the body. You don't need it anymore. If you're perfectly rooted in the light, pure form is the perfect love, and the body has served its purpose. It's would then just be a block. You're still hanging around in a body with body sensations and stuff going on. That just blocks your awareness of pure formless awareness, of perfect love for all eternity. Okay.
Yeah.
So, any other final thoughts, comments, or questions on the lesson? Otherwise, we can do meditation on it if you like.
Yeah. All good. Yeah.
Okay. Should we do a 20-minute med and then go into the text, or do you want to go straight into the text?
We'll go straight into the text, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe do a meditation at the end. So we've got
Yeah.
5 paragraphs of the text.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that.
It should take about an hour, so
That would be better for me. Yeah.
9:15, and then we can wrap it up with a meditation.
Yeah.
Take
That's
us to about
perfect.
9:20 to 10, and that's a nice wind down for the evening.
For the evening. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you need a break at all? A minute or two? Or are you okay?
Well, just a couple of minutes. Yeah, just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you? What?
So
Yeah.
let's reconvene at what's it? 2017. So should we say 20 past or 25 past?
20 past. Yeah. 20 past.
Yeah. 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just go get some tea. See you in 3 minutes.
Right. Oh.
All right. Thanks, Elaine. All right. You back, Elaine?
Yeah, yes.
Let me know when you're back.
Yeah, no, I'm back. I'm back. Can you hear me? Hello?
Okay, Elaine, you back?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
just muted.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the text, shall we?
Mhm.
This is section 4, I think we're on. Okay, so share my screen again. Text. Okay. Okay, so this is, and have a look at today's text, which is section 4 of chapter 24, called Specialness versus Sinlessness, or alternatively, specialness versus innocence in our translated language, because sinlessness is innocence. So specialness versus innocence.
Oh, yeah.
And it's only 5 paragraphs. That's a relatively short one.
Good.
So you want to read, yeah, read it in the alternative. Not much to translate there.
Okay.
So specialness is a lack of trust.
Specialness is a lack of trust in anyone except myself. When I believe in my specialness, I have faith in myself alone. Everything else becomes my enemy, feared and attacked, deadly and dangerous, hated and worthy only of destruction. Whatever gentleness it offers is only deception, for only its hate is real. Being in danger of destruction, it must kill, and so I am drawn to it to kill it first. Such is guilt's attraction. Here is death enthroned as Saviour. Crucifixion becomes freedom, and awakening can only mean destruction of the world except for myself.
It's one of those stick paragraphs, I call them.
It gets to the point.
Yeah, I'm throwing death as savior. So what's he saying here in summary of how this crazy belief in specialness works and what it does?
Well, unfortunately, yeah, specialness is pretty gruesome, isn't it? It wants to kill, destruct. It's deadly, it's dangerous, it attacks. Hold on. And if you have faith in yourself alone, well, everything else becomes an enemy. And this is where the hatred and danger and so forth comes in. So not a good place to be in specialness for yourself or anybody else or anything.
Yeah, and so he's getting us to see really the consequences of this choice. The special individual self is highly prized by the ego. This is its identity. Our society is set up to encourage that. Become your own person, your own man, your own woman, express yourself, be individual. And you see all of this coming across in a lot of the advertising that they do, especially for these luxury type brands and stuff. And how do you sell a whiskey? You have to associate an image with it, don't you? You associate a self-image, and you say, and then they have a picture of a cool, suave man, like kind of, and then they have some catchy slogan, and it's like, oh, well, if you drink our whiskey, you'll become like this special person. That's the subtext.
Cool. Yeah.
You look cool, No, actually, it's just alcohol, and it's gonna dumb you down, and after a couple of those, you're not going to be cool at all. And if you keep going, after a bottle, you're going to be puking all over the place. So it's an illusion. It's total illusion, isn't it?
It is.
But they sell these products based on this identification, because if you sell it for what it is, it's too blatantly obvious. Okay, well, actually, you just want to really alter your state. You can't quite deal with your life, so you want to have a couple of drinks and just chill out. But they can't kind of say that, because, well, that's a bit too straightforward and obvious. So we've got to now associate a self-image with it, and obviously it works. It makes sales. They wouldn't do it if it didn't work. They've done their market research, and they know what will sell. So people buy this stuff. They buy into this, literally, into all of this marketing, because there's a self-concept that yearns to be special. And they will then, attach a marketer, someone who wants to be special. Marketers have found ingenious ways of convincing them that they will be more special if they part with their money and they get whatever the marketer wants them to buy. That's the whole system we've developed. And so in our world, it seems to be, this is all acceptable. It's good. What's wrong with a good self-image? What's wrong with trying to big yourself up and be cool or whatever? But Yeshua is saying very clearly, well, just look at it. There's everything wrong with it. It's deadly. It's dangerous. It's about hate, worthy only of destruction. And that's what underpins all these special cool ads you see, which look all actually there's the thought system of death, disaster, hatred, destruction underneath that. Puts a different spin on all of it, doesn't it? All the advertising. Actually, it's just it's hatred and death showing its nice face and trying to pretend that it's not. But you have to have been trained in this and understand what's really going on to recognize it, because otherwise you just get sucked in. And it all seems to be okay. Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, special self. And well, why not? Why not go and try and become super cool or big myself up or make a lot of money so that I can, have a good self-image and I can dress myself in nice clothes? Because what else is life for? Tells the ego. The ego tells to be special. Well, that makes you more special. Okay, well then do it. If it makes you more special, it's got to be good. It's not. It works both ways. It's not just more specially good or brilliant. It can also be more specially bad, evil, sinful. It can also be more specially a victim. Some people specialize in that kind of stuff. Okay, well I'm just a special victim, and so I tell my victim story over and over again, and I get an identity out of it. And the ego feels strengthened, but actually it's weakening me. And I wonder why, I can't find peace and joy and happiness in my life. Because how can you find those things in a thought system based on destruction and death? You can't. Not possible. So he's just telling it like it is and saying, just know what's going on here. That when you believe in specialness, you believe in death, and it's as simple as that. So don't do it. Don't take one step down that road. Someone tempts you to be more special, to do something to enhance your specialness. That's, that's an ego motivation. That's the ego's purpose, which leads to death and disaster. So don't take one step down the road. So no, I relinquish that. I don't want to be special. I just want to be pure formless awareness of perfect love, like everyone else, exactly the same. I am one, or I'm special. Those are the choices. So specialness goes to the very heart of the ego's illusion about itself, of separation. You see, the separate self is the special self. The specialness makes it separate. And then we've invented all kinds of ways to make ourselves more special. So we have bodies, and then we've got all the body identification, and then we've invented all this stuff we can buy, and we can adorn the body. We can put jewelry on it. We can put makeup on it. We can dress it in clothes. We can give it plastic surgery now. We can change our appearance. We can sculpt it. We can do things like exercise and diet and all kinds of things to try and make this self-concept into something more than what it is. And yes, you're saying no, that's all going to fail, because it is what it is. It's the thought system of death, fear, attack, death, sin, guilt. These are what underpin it, the idea of specialness. So as we can see here in this diagram, what underpins the individuality, which is really specialness. I think I'll add that to the diagram when I update it. Individuality / specialness would be the separate or the special identity named. That's the source of sin. Because as soon as I do that, I carve this out of unity and say, there I am as my special self, and I'm separate from everyone else. And now I must experience the guilt and the sin for apparently destroying perfect love because of this special self that I've created. And guilt and sin are really nasty. They cause the fear of punishment. They cause us to project that out onto a fearful, wrathful, vengeful God and onto other people to try and attack them and offload our guilt. But that just perpetuates the guilt, reinforces the fear, and we get caught up in a cycle of projection of guilt as attack. And then that causes us to fear more, which reinforces the guilt, which then needs to be projected out, and around and around you go. That's what you do. Over and over and over again, trying desperately to get rid of the guilt, but never succeeding. In fact, just making the guilt stronger. The more you cycle through that process, the stronger the guilt and the sin and the fear become. And your individual self remains intact. So the ego is trying to say, well, you can keep your special self, but you can get rid of your guilt. And you get rid of your guilt by attacking someone else. You project your guilt onto them, then they are to blame. God will punish them and not you. That's its childish thought. So keep doing that. But of course, it just reinforces the guilt. The more you do it, the more you're saying, well, I've got lots of guilt, so I'm just reinforcing it. I've got lots of something to give, then I must have lots of it to give. And if I keep giving it, then I must keep having it to give, you see? So it's just self-reinforcing. And so the illusion goes on and on and on. And that's why, 14 billion odd years after the Big Bang and that moment, tiny mad idea of separation occurred, we're still trying to get out of this crazy system because it's become a self-perpetuating, self-reinforcing system that seemingly, is now our reality. That's very strong. And it takes a lot of undoing then to go back just to the original state of mind we were in before the idea of separation happened. Okay, does that make sense? That's some of the metaphysics behind it. So you can see why specialness doesn't work, and it will never work. So he's saying, well, you just got to accept that and let it go. You can't sort of try and be somewhat special and then also be one and loving and kind. It's like specialness denies love, and it denies loving kindness. And you do seem to see, in this world, if someone is very self-invested, we'd say, they've got a big ego, or they're very self-interested or selfish. They're invested in their special self, aren't they? And then it just becomes about them. Okay, so what do I want? What do I need? And there's no thought for the needs of another, because I'm number one and my needs come first. And so everyone and everything must now meet my needs. That's the model, the paradigm of the world. So I try and get everyone and everything to meet my needs. And if other people are doing the same, then we have a conflict, because like, whose needs are going to get met? And then we fight about whose needs are going to get met. And that's, the subject of a special relationship. Well, I did this for you and this for you. And then the other person says, no, but I did this and this, and my needs aren't being met. And neither is happy, because both are rooted in their special self and haven't been able to let go and just say, actually, none of that's true. I'm not a special self. I don't have any special needs. So let's just be one. Let's just stay in our true awareness and hold that awareness for each other. That's then the holy relationship in which specialness is let go of. So you cannot trust. I think this is a key point. Specialness is a lack of trust in anyone except myself. Well, how sad. You can't trust anyone except yourself, and even yourself. Can you really trust that? Can you trust that ego self-image, that self-concept to do the right thing, to make the right decision? You can't. It's going to betray you. And it's going to kill you eventually. How can you trust something that is designed to kill you? Its intent is to kill you. So even if you put your trust in it and say, well, I'm going down the route of specialness, there will be a treachery. The previous section, section 2, I think, was on the treachery of specialness, saying this actually is treacherous to you, to your peace of mind, because it sabotages it. So, summary, there's nothing good about it. See it for what it is, really. That's why it gives us these quite harsh lessons. Something like, well, it's quite harsh, something this isn't very positive. But what most people want in their spiritual teachings is some kind of positive veneer to be cast over the negativity of the ego. So they can still maintain their ego, but it's kind of got positive icing, like the icing on a rotten cake or something. And then underneath the cake is rotten and moldy and horrible, but you put the nice icing on and it's all, the icing's sweet and the icing will taste nice. Okay, well but you dig a little bit deeper and you see that the cake is still rotten. So it's that idea. So, specialness is rotten to the core, and no matter what we dress it up in, and we try and make it look good, and we try and make it look something other than rotten and death and decay and disaster, it's just an illusion. It's just a covering. So, we need to really grow up, I think. Yeshua's asking us to grow up, and he's telling it to us straight. And he's saying, if you don't get this ever, if I don't tell you this, you continue believing in your special self as some kind of, identity and source of happiness, you'll never be happy. You just keep believing in a delusion, and you'll keep suffering and dying. And, that's not what I came for. He came to demonstrate that it is possible to escape from specialness and to resurrect into the pure formless awareness of perfect love that is eternal life, and transcend all specialness. And interesting, because then his life got interpreted as, oh, well, he's this very special person, didn't it? He is the only son of God. He's very special. He's one of a kind. He's unique. And so we've now got to put him on a pedestal, and we've got to worship him. We've got to say, well, he's some kind of demigod. He's the only son of God who came and died for our sins, and no one can be like him. He's the man. He's the only son of God. And that's just specialness, isn't it? Specialness coming back in to distort this, teaching that actually we can free ourselves from all specialness and all sin and guilt. Because the ego can't stand that, so it's got to come back in and try and have its way again. And then, sadly, that's what happened. Largely, the Christian, what Yeshua taught, which was absolute freedom and liberation, was then denied and dumbed down, and it became this formalized religion we now call Christianity, that has a whole lot of other beliefs that are false, and it actually has made him into some kind of special self, who's somehow above all of us, although he's one with us, but he's above us because he's the only Son of God. So then what are we? If he's the only Son of God, we're not sons of God. What are we then? They don't really make it clear, do they? So if he's the only Son of God, then we're not sons of God. So what are we? Some kind of lower order creation of God? Don't see, the specialness doesn't make sense, does it? If you start really analyzing it, it starts falling apart. The beliefs don't make sense. So yeah, I think that's probably first paragraph done. There's a lot, but there's a lot of depth to this, isn't it? I mean, you can really go into the course's whole teaching just from this concept of specialness, which is what he's doing. You see, he's giving us in the text and the lessons these access points. It's okay. So today's access point will be specialness. Let's talk about that. And that's another way of looking at it. It's another angle on this that gives you access to the whole thought system of the ego, and then the alternative of the Holy Spirit. And then another day he switches it and he'll talk about the body and the body identification. And so it's a very kind of deep, rich, these deeper levels of significance we talked about in the Perennial Philosophy reveal themselves. And as you go with this and you study this teaching, these, because there's so much to it, you will inevitably come across stuff you might have read before, but you go, oh, okay, now I'm like getting it on a deeper level. I'm understanding it than I did, when I read this before. So this can be a lifetime, study exercise, for the course, because you can just keep going deeper. I've been doing it 17 years, I think. 17 years this year. Yeah, I think so. Am I bored? I mean, what book could you study for 17 years? What other book would work? I mean, we've read other spiritual books. You read them once or twice, even if they're profound, Eckhart Tolle, profound. But okay, could you read it over and over and over again? Or
no.
Maybe there are people, but I don't know anyone who's done that and really, study it, and because this has just so much depth and wisdom to it that you can make it the basis of your lifelong spiritual practice, and you'll never get bored, because there's be more, every time you practice it and you read the words, okay, but there's something else like unfolding. I mean, compared with how I perceived this, how I understood this, I may have read these words 17 years ago. I probably did, because I read the whole course, but did I understand them? Did I get them? Did I really? No, I didn't really at all. It was like all, I'd read them and like, okay, well, that's interesting, but it was just kind of over the head. It didn't really penetrate deeper. It took a lot of the mind train, a lot of working with this over years and years, and listening and doing the lessons and practicing, meditating as well. And then, when I started the art of letting go, it sort of took it to another level. It's like, okay, so now you're just going to be teaching this, studying it, working with it all the time, teaching it, sometimes 12 hours a day. And then you just really start to like, then you just, something else happens, and you're like, okay, I'm really getting this now and understanding what he's saying, and it's starting to become internalized. Like, okay, this is like my default thought system now. That's what he's trying to do, establish it as that. And that, that can take years, that process. Probably took me 10 years before I really started getting the depth and the profundity of this. And then it really started to burn. It was like, oh my goodness, like, before it was sort of, okay, well, I'm a course teacher and it's got all these, quite clever intellectual concepts. And I think it's, we all do this. It's a spiritual ego, they call it, an identification with a new role. You go, oh, well, and I'm a course teacher, and it's a very profound teaching, and it's amazing. And so I'm a bit more special because of, you see, that's the specialness coming in. I'm a bit more special because I study and I teach the course. That's spiritual ego. because it's specialness, but it's now cunning. The ego is cunning because it wrapped itself into a spiritual wrapping. It says, oh, well, now it's spiritual, so that's okay. But it's not really, is it? It's still specialness. And you see it in many, not just in the Course of Miracles, you see in many teachings, that in many spiritual paths, that starts to happen. And then in the East, they give people names. Now you become, you get your special, spiritual name. And you dress in robes and you do all the stuff that makes you special. And you're like, is that really helpful? No, not if you understand the Course. It's not helpful. Don't do anything to make yourself more special than others, because you're just perpetuating the specialness. That's the whole problem. That's what you're trying to undo. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. So number 2, what could the purpose of the body be except special? So we come back to the body, which is quite nice because we just had a lesson on the body. So this kind of relates it.
What could the purpose of the body be except specialness? And it is this that makes it frail and helpless in its own defense. It was conceived to make me frail and helpless. The goal of separation is its curse. Yet bodies have no goal. Purpose comes from the mind. The minds can change as they desire. They cannot change what they and all their attributes really are, but they can change what they believe is their purpose, and body states must shift accordingly. The body can do nothing of itself. If I perceive it as a means to hurt, it is hurt. If I perceive it as a means to heal, it is healed.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
Well, the body in a separate self just wants specialness, but this is actually what makes it frail and helpless.
In its own defense.
Yeah, the goal of separation is its curse, because it just wants this specialness, but it becomes its curse. Because bodies have no goals. It's the mind. The mind that changes.
And the mind tells the body, what it should be. So
what it should do, yeah.
And you can believe the body is real, and you can believe the body gives you a special identity, and you can try and play that game and make the body more special. Or you can change your mind. Say, no, that's crazy. I'm not a body. I'm free. Today's lesson says, I'm still as God created me. I'm still as, this primary life essence, pure formless awareness, extends me, and that's my reality. That's my only function. The body really has nothing to do with that. While I'm seemingly knocking around in a body, I can stay in this higher awareness. I don't have to go into the awareness that I'm a body and believing that all the limitations of the body apply to me, because that's a choice. It's a belief. Even if the body is sick or aging or whatever body condition is going on, I don't have to believe it so, to believe it to be so. So, then I deny the seeming reality of the body conditions to accept the reality of the pure formless awareness, perfect love, the spirit that I am. And that's what we must do. Do we deny the body, then we accept the spirit. And if we accept the body as our reality, then we deny the spirit. Because then we can no longer be. Remember, spirit is pure formless awareness. How can we be pure formless awareness of perfect love if we're a body, which has form? That's no longer formless awareness. It's the awareness of form. So by definition, the form denies formlessness. And there you see, the fundamental split that is irreconcilable. You can't ever make that work, because the one is in direct opposition to the other. All you can do is let go of the one that's not true and stop believing it's truth. And then, that contradiction will slowly fade away. And what will be left is just the truth, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, so you want to add anything? What's the key message of this paragraph? What's he saying?
Well, just that the main purpose of the separate body is its specialness, but it's to its detriment. But bodies have no goals, and they're just neutral things. So
yeah, my mind can change. I think that's the key thing. So the body's purpose is specialness. That was what it was conceived to be by the ego, but that is a false purpose. It's part of the thought system separation, which is all false. It's a false purpose. So I can change my mind. I can give it a new purpose. And then body states must shift accordingly. They're saying the body will follow the mind. Integral model again. We look at it. So as I change within, and I change my thoughts, emotions, memories, my state of mind, my internal reality, basically, then the external, being the material body, including the brain and everything that I can see and touch in time and space. So whatever seemingly manifest, and that I can perceive, that changes as well, which is what he's saying here. Yeah, they can change what they believe their purpose is, and body states must shift accordingly. Body can do nothing of itself. So we can change our mind profoundly, completely. We don't have to believe in the ego's story of what the body is. We're free at any moment to change our mind about its purpose. And that's the miracle, that's the correction that we can make moment by moment. If I perceive it as a means to hurt, then it is hurt. If I perceive it as a means to heal, it is healed. As I give, I receive again. That's the lesson. Again, very simple. How do I choose to perceive it? It's up to me. My reality is dependent on my decision. Whatever I decide I am in my internal subjective I, that is now going to be extended out into the it of my body and my senses and the its, the interobjective. So then I become part of the society, the community that I operate in, and I'm either part of the ego system, perpetuating that, or I'm awakening from that, and I'm perpetuating it's another thought system that can free people from the bondage of the material world and the system that we've created to enslave us. And then I become, an awakener of the world, savior of the world, awakener of the world, rather than just another puppet in the world, just another mind plugged into the matrix, just following the program, just doing, really what the ego tells me to do. Okay, so all good. Any other thoughts on 2?
No, that's good.
Okay, number 3 then, see what's to be translated. So just Father will become source and him will become it. Quite a long paragraph, so just read an alternative.
I can
hurt myself.
I can only hurt myself. This has been this has been often repeated, but it is still difficult for me to grasp. It is impossible to minds intent on specialness, yet to those who wish to heal and not attack, it is quite obvious. The purpose of attack is in the mind, and its effects are felt only where it is. Nor is the mind limited. So it must be that a harmful purpose hurts the mind as one. Nothing could make less sense to specialness. Nothing could make more sense to corrections. For corrections are merely the change of purpose from hurt to healing. This shift in purpose does endanger specialness, but only in the sense that all illusions are threatened by the truth. They will not stand before it. Yet what comfort has ever been in them, that I would keep the gift my source asks from it and give it there instead. Given to it, the universe is mine. Offered to them, no gifts can be returned. What I have given specialness has left me bankrupt and my treasure house barren and empty, with an open door inviting everything that would disturb my peace to enter and destroy.
Okay, so what's he saying?
Well, again, you know, the mind is a special self where it's limited, it's harmful, its purpose is to hurt the mind. So nothing could be less sense to a specialness. So, so corrections are merely the change of purpose from hurt to healing. But of course, this shift does endanger the specialness, and it won't want that. And so it'll feel threatened by the truth. So it's a bit of a quandary for it. Yeah. What you have given specialness has left you bankrupt and you're barren and empty. And then once you continue down that line, then it'll be open to, very easily open to disturbances of your peace and to enter and destroy.
Yeah, so this is the problem. You know, specialness might seem to offer you something. Or, you know, a special self, I feel bigged up, I feel more special than someone else. But it's an open door, inviting everything would disturb my peace to enter and destroy. So if I'm special, and I've defined myself as the special person with all kinds of preferences, desires, expectations, and so on, because that's what goes along with the special self, then I've opened the door to my peace being disturbed continuously. Because inevitably, life's not going to match those expectations. And then I'm going to feel threatened and attacked. You know, things don't go my way. Oh, now, you know, my special self is under threat. And then I feel the fear. And I feel the apparent attack and diminishment of myself. The specialness invites that kind of thing to happen. Whereas letting go says, okay, you might feel that, but it's just your specialness reacting to whatever the situation is. Let it go. The thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, it's all part of this construct of specialness. And the only way out of that is to let go of it as it arises. There's no other way. So whatever the construct of it is, it arises, the specialness arises, and it brings up the fear or the guilt or the hatred, or the attack thoughts. That's then just part of the special self that's now you experiencing. And it doesn't feel good. But if you have the awareness, the Holy Spirit's awareness, you can just look at it and go, well, it's not really me. It's just the special self arising again. And it's blowing through the mind, you know, all these false thoughts and ideas are blowing through my mind. So, okay, I can let them go. You know, actually, none of them mean anything. They're all just, you know, temporary formations, just blowing across my mind, trying just desperately to obscure the pure formless awareness of perfect love that's always there. And like he says, specialness has left me bankrupt, my treasure house barren and empty. So he uses these worldly analogies. We all know what bankrupt means. So it's bankrupted us, and our treasure house of truth, which is that we're experiencing pure formless awareness of perfect love. We're experiencing the love and the peace and the joy. That is now empty, because all I have is specialness and the grievances, the desire, the craving, as the Buddha would put it, craving or desire for something outside of me to fill this void that I feel inside of me. And then when it doesn't happen, I feel a grievance because it hasn't happened. And now I feel genuinely, that I'm justified in my grievance, saying, well, why hasn't this happened? And oh, poor me. So it just opens the door to specialness and desire, craving, as the Buddha called it, and grievances go hand in hand. Partners in this insane system that enslaves our minds, and which he's trying to free us from in this particular section, and obviously through the whole course. Okay, so have you given a summary? I'm not sure you have. I've sort of been prattling on. Anything that struck you there? Okay?
Well, it's just, making it quite clear that specialness is detrimental, and we need to practice each day to let that go.
And change our purpose. I think that's really the key thing here. So specialness and being a separate self is the ego's purpose, but we can change our purpose. It can be a new purpose, and then we see everything differently, because purpose is meaning, isn't it? What gives something a meaning? But the purpose we give it. Purpose and meaning are integrally bound up. And I've only got two choices of meaning. There's the ego's meaning, and there's the Holy Spirit's. So I've got to choose which meaning I'm going to accept. Okay, so all good. We're going to move on to number 4.
Earlier I said, consider not the means by which awakening is attained, nor how to reach it.
Okay, just pause it there. Yeshua. When he says I said, he means himself, Yeshua. Yeah. So we just Yeshua said earlier, consider not the means by which awakening is attained, nor how to reach it. That I should not consider what this into it is. Consider not the means, So do not consider means by which salvation is attained, nor how to reach it. Do not consider the means by which awakening is attained, nor how to reach it. Okay, so saying the means, we don't have to consider it, and then number 2 is into that, but do consider.
Yeah, do consider, and consider well, whether it is my wish that I might see my companion innocent. To specialness, the answer must be no. An innocent companion is its enemy, while sin, if it were possible, would be its friend. Your companion's sin would justify itself and give it meaning that the truth denies. All that is real proclaims his innocence. All that is false proclaims his sins as real. If he is sinful, then is my reality not real? but just a dream of specialness that lasts an instant, crumbling into dust.
Okay, what's he saying here?
We need to consider whether to wish to see our companion as innocent. Obviously, if it's to specialness, then the answer would be no. So an innocent companion can be an enemy. Yeah.
So the ego is insane. Someone who we see as innocent is then seen as an enemy because it denies our specialness. Innocence and oneness, which is a lack of specialness, go hand in hand. Well, sin is its friend. Because sin makes us separate, so sin perpetuates the specialness. Okay, what else? What is real? It claims his innocence. Sin is just itself and give it meaning to truth denies. All that is real proclaims their innocence. All that is false proclaims their sins as real. They are sinful. And my reality is not real. Just a dream is special that lasts an instant. Lasts a moment. Crumbling into dust. Just read that from the top again, right? Make sure that the translation's right.
Yeshua said earlier that I should not consider the means by which awakening is attained, nor how to reach it, but I should consider well whether it is my wish to perceive my companion as innocent. To specialness, the answer must be no. An innocent companion is its enemy, while sin, if it were possible, would be its friend. Your companion's sin would justify itself and give it meaning that the truth denies. All that is real proclaims their innocence. All that is false proclaims their sins as real. If they are sinful, then my reality is not real, but just a dream of specialness that lasts a moment before crumbling into dust.
Okay, so what's he saying there in summary?
I went through it before, didn't I? Yeah, I think I've already said it.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the ego and really, I think the thing is that he's trying to make here is the point he's trying to make here is that specialness and sin are bound up.
They go hand in hand.
Hand in hand, yeah. And if we look at our descent into hell diagram, we see why, right? So underneath individuality, which is specialness, the consequence of that directly, the next step down the ladder is sin and the guilt that you feel for it. Guilt for the sin, separate identity name. So as soon as I say I am separate and I claim that identity, then I've denied pure formless awareness of perfect love. And now I experience the guilt for doing that because I think I've really done it. I think I've really pulled it off and I've destroyed God, love, oneness, pure formless awareness. And on its destruction, I've built this separate self, a very special self. And now, that's happened. Now I feel the guilt for that because I've destroyed perfect love. And now there must be punishment. And so then the thought system of fear, false expectation of punishment appearing real, arises, and then a vengeful, wrathful God to punish me, because that's a natural consequence of the belief in punishment. Something or someone's going to punish you. And then I seek to punish others. So I project my guilt outwards as blame, and I seek to project that blame onto them, the guilt onto them, to avoid punishment myself. So they will be punished rather than me. And the whole system is about punishment, and the ultimate outcome of punishment is death. So it's a thought system of punishment. Sin and guilt underlie that, fear, attack, punishment, and ultimately death. And all of that comes from the special self, the idea that you really are a special self, and you really have destroyed perfect oneness, because you can't be special and perfectly one. It's not possible. You see the obvious split there. You can't be both. It's one or the other. If you're special, you're not perfectly one, and if you're perfectly one, you can't be special in any way. The one state denies the other, which is self-evident when we've had this kind of mind training. But most spiritual paths teachings don't see that. They don't acknowledge that fundamentally irreconcilable nature of the two thought systems. They try and somehow fudge it and say, well, we're a little bit of both. We have an ego and we have a body, but then we also have a mind, and then we have a spirit, and so we have body, mind, and spirit, and we're all three, and somehow we try and make that equation work. And of course we don't really make it work, but we just stay in a split mind, in a compromised position in our minds, in our lives, and we find disquiet. When you compromise, and your peace of mind is not complete, because you keep getting the other self, the ego, coming in and disturbing your peace of mind, and it's telling you, no, my thought system is real, and much more real than the thought system of oneness. Okay, so done number 4. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Let's move on to number 5. Last one: do not defend the senseless dream. So all right.
I will not defend the senseless dream in which pure formless awareness of perfect love is bereft. Oh, bereft. Okay, is there an
bereft? Yeah, it's how you say it. Bereft means it's
oh yeah,
bereft, no, separated from. Yeah, it's,
yes, I have heard it before. Yeah, bereft and just of what it loves, and I remain beyond awakening. Only this is certain in this shifting world that has no meaning in reality. When peace is not with me entirely, and when I suffer pain of any kind, I have beheld some sin within my companion and have rejoiced at what I thought was there. My specialness seemed saved because of it, and thus I saved what I appointed to be my Saviour and crucified the other one whom pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me instead. So I am bound with him, for I am one, and so is specialness his enemy and mine as well.
Yeah, I rejoiced at what I thought was there. So the ego loves this. Someone else is to blame. I see the sin in them. Oh, okay. So you see the childish mechanism Because I'm off the hook then. I'm not to blame. God's not gonna come and get me and destroy me. This other person's to blame. They're the one who's going to get it. They're going to be punished to save me. That's the very childish psychological mechanism behind all accusation, blame, and attack. God will attack you and not me, so I'm just gonna make sure that's the case by accusing and blaming and attacking you to try and facilitate that. Okay, God's going to get you and not me, so I'm off the hook then, because I'm not the guilty one, you're the guilty one. You see how the ego works. But really, I've just given guilt. But blame and attack are just a form of guilt. So if I've given something, I'm saying, well, I have it to give, then I must be guilty. So I must still be an individual self. You see how it reinforces the individual self? Because the guilt and the sin, underpin the individuality. If there's no individuality, there's no guilt and there's no sin, then I can't be separate from this person. Not possible. Yeah, so that diagram is always going back to metaphysics, and you see how it's all bound up, how the system really works. And can you see where the diagram comes from? This is all in the course's teachings, especially in the text, but it's just made visual and explicit in the diagram. Based on Ken Wapnick's really on his teachings. He did a teaching on the descent into hell and laid this all out, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant. I'd never heard it that way. And once you understand the ladder of separation, and then I just went, well, just visualize it in a diagram, draw it so that people can actually see, because that's helpful. Because then, becomes more tangible, more concrete. The tricky thing with all of this, it's all ideas. There's nothing tangible. Once you go beyond the projections of form, you're now completely in the intangible. This is all mind, thought, emotion. It's intangible. You can't see it, feel it, touch it. It's just in the intangible, And so, but nevertheless, it's this is what creates our reality, as we see here in the model. The subjective self, those thoughts and emotions and memories and states of mind are what create the external reality. They are integral to that reality. So this is, primary reality is created in the mind. And so that's why we need the mind training, and to really look at the thoughts, every thought, every emotion, every value we hold, every belief we cherish. This is what he's asking us to do. Recently he said, this course requires that you question every value you've ever held. Oh, it's quite a big ask, isn't it? Every single value you hold or have ever held. This course is asking you to question that. Because if you do, you will see that ultimately they are all false. Okay, so let's go back to so I saved what I pointed to you, my Savior, and crucified the one who in pure form of awareness has given me instead. Okay, so just look at that. So thus you saved what you appointed to be your Savior. So you saved specialness. So I saved what I chose to be my Savior, which is specialness, and crucified the one whom pure form of awareness of perfect love has given me instead. So this person that has been given me to help me correct my mind and heal my mind, I've now crucified them. So I'm bound with him, for I'm one, and so special as his enemy in mine as well. So I'm bound, crucified, the one in pure form was given me instead. So I'm bound with my companions. I am one. How about for you are one, so we are one. Oh, we are one. And so specialness is enemy and yours as well. So specialness is specialness is instead of his as well. So specialness is our enemy. And he's put that in the inverted commas quotes. The specialness is our enemy. Full stop. Okay, just read that from the top, number 5, and then we'll just do a little commentary summary of that.
I will not defend this. Hold on. I will not defend this senseless stream in which pure formless awareness of perfect love is bereft of what it loves, and I remain beyond awakening. Only this is certain in this shifting world that has no meaning in reality. When
But I change that to separated from, maybe.
Yeah, is separated from what it loves and remain beyond awakening. Only this is certain in it, this shifting world that has no meaning in reality. When peace is not with me entirely, and when I suffer pain of any kind, I have perceived some sin in a companion, and I have rejoiced at what I thought was there. My specialness seemed safe because of it. And so I saved what I choose to be my savior and crucified the one whom pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me instead. So I am bound with my companions, for we are one. And so specialness is our enemy.
I'm bound with my companions, for we are one. Change that to say, are you bound with him? Joined maybe might be better. So I am joined. So I am joined with my companions, for we are one. And so specialness is our, quote, enemy. Yeah, and he puts it in quotes because it's not really your enemy. It doesn't really exist, but you must choose against it. You can't make it your friend either. You don't make it your enemy and go, right, this needs to be destroyed and I've got to go and attack it, because that just makes it real and it will just perpetuate. But neither do you say, oh, well, I'll embrace this. You recognize that it's false, it's not something you want, it's a delusion, and then you practice letting it go. Okay, so happy with my lesson. Let's just summarize it. Personalized executive summary in 3 paragraphs. So if you can read that, pause it at the end of each paragraph.
The text.
This section.
This section underscores the detrimental nature of specialness and its ramifications, while juxtaposing. What's that?
Juxtaposing, yeah. Juxtaposing means that it's put it kind of side next to it, side by side.
Oh, okay.
Juxtaposing the therapeutic potency of altering one's intention from harm to healing, while contrasting it, what it means, contrasting. There's a detriment, there's special consequences, while contrasting. And contrast this. And contrast this with the therapeutic potency. Okay, interesting choice of. I didn't do that. This is the AI. Therapeutic potency of altering one's intention. The healing power, shall we say? It's better. The healing power of altering one's changing one's mind, changing one's intention, changing my intentions from harm to healing. Okay, commences by delineating specialness.
Where are we? Begins by defining specialness as a distrust in everyone except oneself, accumulating in perceiving everything else as adversarial and meriting annihilation.
Dominates in my perceiving everything else as adversarial. Everyone results in my perceiving everyone in perception of everyone and everything else as adversarial and meriting annihilation. Deserving. Adversarial and deserving annihilation, deserving death, perhaps. Deserving to be annihilated. So the ego is this weird thing. It wants to exist, but it also wants to annihilate itself because it doesn't feel worthy. You see the dilemma. I want to exist as a special self, but then the consequence of that, because I've denied the truth of who I am, is that I feel unworthy continuously. So I want to live in my special self and have some kind of existence as a special self, but I actually want to destroy myself because I feel like I'm unworthy. And that's the split in our minds. And that's why we struggle to be in the human condition. Because on the one hand, we want specialness and it gives us some kind of identity. And then on the other, we just want to destroy ourselves because we feel so unworthy of even existing. See, the fundamental problem of the ego is that it feels unworthy of its existence because it's made from a false belief, and it's in order to exist, it has to deny the truth. has to deny all good, all power, all peace, all love, all joy, which lies in pure formless awareness of perfect love or God, and it has to deny all of that in order to have its miserable, separate, special identity. And so it wants that identity, that's the desire, the craving, but at the same time, it feels unworthy. And it has this intense self-loathing, which then demands punishment and death. And Yeshua's saying to us, does this make any sense? Does any of this make any sense? Really, if you look at it carefully. It doesn't, does it? All right. Elaine, you still there?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was to doze for a moment there. Sorry.
It's okay. It's happened before.
Yeah. Yeah. No
Not the
problem.
only one.
Yeah.
So this mentality is on to number 2 of the summary.
Yeah. This mentality accumulates in a world where demise is perceived as a liberator and awakening is associated with obligation. Obligation? No. What? Obliteration? Sorry, I must be getting a bit tired now.
Yeah, nearly there. We've done let's just finish the summary. This
Yeah.
mentality produces a world where demise is perceived as a liberator. Okay, so demise is death. My demise, my death, where death is perceived as a liberator, a world in which I perceive death as a liberator and awakening as obliteration or annihilation. Totally upside down. Death is going to be my liberator. This is why, we all, people have a death wish. We all, slowly or quickly committing suicide here. Some do it quicker by, literally doing it, taking their life in some way, or they do it slowly. So they poison themselves with whatever substances, food, and slowly that's a slow suicide because they think that death is their liberator. And that awakening from the body is then obliteration, is then awakening as annihilation. Much better. Okay, but the body is merely an instrument.
The body is merely an instrument that can either inflict harm or facilitate healing, depending on my mind's intention. It emphasizes that a malicious intention inflicts harm on the mind and illusions are imperiled by the truth.
So it's close. It's changed all the language. Endangered becomes in peril. But we'll just change it back. Illusions are malicious intention. Seems to harm that. When I hold a malicious intention, I harm my own mind. Conversely, that my illusions are endangered by the truth. So the ego sees the truth as the greatest threat, and it's going to defend against that for all it's worth. And if you notice that people are in the ego, they tend to have these huge defensive walls around them. They just don't, let in any truth, do they? And then you go, well, why are they so asleep? Why are they so resistant to some of these ideas, which are not unreasonable? And they just don't want to entertain it because they know the ego perceives it as a direct threat. And so they just, well, that's a threat. I don't want to know. I don't want to go there. And they shut it out. They block it out entirely. You've seen that. We've all seen it. But that's why, because they perceive it as threatening. The ego perceives the truth as endangering it and threatening its very existence, which is true. It does. It will. The truth will ultimately undo the ego, and so it knows that. So it just tries to block it all out and not allow any of it, because it knows it's the thin edge of the wedge. Once you have the truth, it's going to crack open the mind, and once that crack is there, you can never go back. It's like you've opened into the other dimension. The Perennial Philosophy shows you another reality, and it's like, well, I can't go back into the ego world again. Okay. Specialness.
Sorry, John, is there much more to do? It's just I want to sort the cat out. It's sort of rolling around me. I just need to sort of.
No, we nearly there. But just this paragraph is one more paragraph, yeah. 2 more paragraphs to do.
Right, because like I say, I would like to close in a minute.
Okay, so 2 paragraphs. Want to read those?
Yeah. The key paragraph, the key message. Oh, there's not right.
Specialness renders one insolvent.
Yeah. Specialness renders one insolvent, beckoning disturbances into one's existence, whereas bestowing upon the source results in possessing the universe. The text also contemplates the difficulty of genuinely desiring to perceive others as innocent, as specialness perceives innocence as antagonistic. It concludes by cautioning against justifying a meaningless dream that leaves one beyond the realm of awakening and results in affliction. It implores one to acknowledge that when tranquility is not entirely prevalent, it is because one has discerned. Just a minute. Yeah.
I'm not entirely at peace because I have discerned guilt in another. I have perceived guilt in another and rejoiced in it, thereby preserving. Yeah, carry on. Thereby preserving specialness.
And thereby preserving specialness and crucifying what the source has bestowed instead.
Source has given me instead. Some of this first stuff. Specialness renders one insolvent. That's an interesting insolvent. Specialness. Specialness weakens me, maybe. I think that's what he's trying to say. Specialness weakens me and beckons disturbances, invites disturbances into my mind. whereas bestowing upon the source results in possessing the universe. Okay. Whereas, I'm not quite sure what it's trying to say there. Whereas, letting go of my illusions invites my source back in my awareness and just take out, possess the universe. I find it difficult to see others as innocent, specialness perceives innocence as antagonistic, innocence as threatening. I should not try to justify a meaningless dream that leaves me beyond the realm of awakening. Condemns me to suffer. Denies me the hope of awakening. This nightmare. Acknowledge that when I'm not entirely at peace, it is because I perceive guilt in another and rejoiced in perceiving it. By preserving specialness and crucifying with the source. My source has given me instead. Okay, cheers, Elaine. Alright, so read that. Specialness weakens me and invites disturbances into my mind, whereas letting go of my illusions invites my source back into my awareness. find it difficult to perceive others as totally innocent because specialness perceives innocence as threatening. I should not try to justify a meaningless dream. I do not try to justify a meaningless dream that condemns me to suffer, denies me the hope of awakening from this nightmare. I acknowledge that when I'm not entirely at peace, it is because I perceived guilt in another and rejoiced in perceiving it, thereby preserving specialness and denying what my source has given me instead. Okay, so the key message in this section is that specialness leads to a perception of everything as an enemy, resulting in harm and distress. Whereas changing one's purpose from harm to healing leads to changing my purpose. Specialness leads to perceive. To perceive everyone and everything as an enemy, resulting in harm and distress. Whereas changing my purpose from harm to healing leads to peace and awakens to my peace and awakening. Emphasizes the importance of changing my mind, serve healing rather than specialness. So oneness and healing, and specialness and suffering. Specialness can only bring only result in pain and specialness. Only result specialness only ever results in pain and suffering. Okay, read that again. The key message of the section: specialness leads me to perceive everyone, everything as an enemy, as my enemy, resulting in harm and loss of peace. Causing me to continuously serves my peace. It's changing my purpose from harm to healing, leads to my awakening in peace. My awakening results in my awakening to peace. It emphasizes I must change my mind to serve purpose of oneness and healing rather than specialness and suffering. The specialness only results. Specialness can only ever lead to pain and suffering. Okay, so I think that's a wrap. Thank you to Elaine for joining, making that session possible. Good session, and yeah, join us tomorrow again if you would like to. We'll do another evening session from 6 p.m. UK time at 7 p.m. SA time. So look at tomorrow's lesson 200. We're on a double century, and the next section of the text is section 5, I believe, of chapter 24, and that is entitled, I'll tell you now, let's just have a little preview. Yeah, the Christ in you. So should be a good one. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you then if you like to join us. If you're not a member of the Art of Letting Go, then check below. You can join us for our next masterclass evening, where you can find out more about this program and how it can help you to awaken from the dream of specialness and suffering to who you really are as the Christ. So click on the link, join us on Sunday, and also sign up to receive some of the information I shared at the beginning of the session that I send out every day on Telegram. So join my Telegram group, and yeah, can also subscribe to the channel if you liked it. So hope to catch you on the inside soon. Namaste, which means the innocent self in me acknowledges and honors that same innocent self in you. Peace.